This is ABH37, and he may just hold the longest world record in Minecraft history. In 2014, he claimed to have made this, a 4x4 vault door, the smallest it could possibly be at 160 blocks in volume. A world record that would last through 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. And it seemed like it was unbreakable. The record survived 2 of the largest Redstone updates ever released. Even with another 20 Redstone components, no one could make it smaller. Even with the Observer, the most powerful block in the game, no one could make it smaller. No one even came close. But one player was more stubborn than the rest, and he asked the Redstone community one simple question. Why isn't it possible? Well, this story starts before this question, even way before ABH's world record. We need to go all the way back to Minecraft Beta 1.7, the update that added pistons. The trailer alone showed off giant changing walls, working water valves, moving bridges, weird block cycling things, and most importantly, piston doors. These things got extremely popular. People were making doors, trapdoors, staircases. If it included an area that could be opened or closed, people were making that. They went from 2x2 to 3x3 to 4x4, but of course, larger sizes got really hard to make. So Redstoners started creating simpler door patterns that weren't completely flat. In fact, the second ever 4x4 door uploaded to YouTube uses the vault pattern that we know today. At the time though, it didn't really have a name, it was just called a 4x4 piston door. That would change almost a year later in April, when a creator known as Doc Redstone coined the term.
Today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make this 4x4 vault door is what I've been calling it. As you can see, this is how it opens, and when I cross over here to this side, that's how it closes.
This thing finally had a name, and it caught on, but giving it a name did something else. It set it apart. It made it a category. And when there's a new category, there's going to be a race to be number 1. So what made ABH qualified for a world record? How do you even define a quote-unquote best piston door? Well, there are 3 basic ways to categorize a piston door. First, you have the most obvious, size. Is it 3x3, 4x4, 6x7, 11x17? What are the dimensions of the thing you are opening? The next is the type. Is it a flat door, a flush door, a trap door, a vault door? When it's opened, is it seamless, so there's no redstone showing, or non-seamless, where you see pistons in the wall? And the last thing is the record itself. Is the total volume of the entire door circuitry the smallest it has ever been? And the holy grail of the size record is layout sized, meaning that all the redstone fits within the volume of the piston layout of the door. A layout for a 4x4 vault has a ring of pistons for the front layer and some double piston extenders to pull back the center blocks. The smallest possible volume that this layout could achieve was 160 blocks. So with the finish line now set, let's meet the contenders for the world record. First, we have Minecraft Smalland releasing an absolutely tiny 324 block design using the double-sided vault shape, all while a player named Freyden was busy in the background cooking up her multiple versions. But then absolutely steamrolling both of them was Deco with the smallest 2Y design at the time. His record looked pretty tough to crack, almost lasting an entire year until a bombshell dropped on the Redstone community, the 1.5 Redstone update. 2013 saw the first explosion of Minecraft on the YouTube scene, with Redstone following along. More people were making 4x4 vault doors than ever, including big names like Mumbo Jumbo, which helped make the category even more popular. And the record was dropped again by Sydney on September 26, 2013 at a whopping 180 blocks in volume. In just over a year, the 4x4 vault got 50% smaller. Competition was fierce, but despite all of that, no one quite got the holy grail of this world record, the layout size door at 160 blocks. Sydney's was just 1 layer away. 20 blocks is how close he was to getting there. And then it happened. I remember seeing that 1 layer on the top, and the fact that it was so little redstone up there made me think it could be 1 block shorter. The eureka moment was definitely the little hopper dropper bit near the top for that last pulse in the double piston extender. It took me much more time than the rest combined, and getting it working felt great. On April 4th, 2014, ABH37 would create the first 160 block 4x4 vault door. All the wiring fit within the piston layout, meaning it physically could not get any smaller. The way he did it, the aforementioned hopper-dropper circuit, and to understand how, we need to talk about double piston extenders. These pistons here control the middle blocks of the door by moving them 2 blocks out of the wall. There are 2 ways you can make a circuit like this. One, you can constantly power all the pistons all at different timings with redstone dust, a 2-tick, and a 4-tick repeater. On the extension, the front would go first, then the back, and then finally the middle. The back piston pushes the front piston in the already powered redstone dust so it will fully extend. On retraction, because the front is powered first, it will be the first piston to retract. The back piston can now pull the front piston in the way of this 4-tick repeater, which gives the front piston its last pulse. This is what Sydney's door did. If you follow the repeater chain, you can see the same 0 to 4 pattern. Or, option number 2, use a monostable circuit. This option is pretty similar. We have the dust and 2-tick repeater for the extension, and the retraction almost works the same. The only difference being that a separate circuit sends a short pulse to the front piston for the final retraction instead of a 4-tick repeater. That circuit is known as a monostable circuit and can be made very easily with the new dropper and hopper block, which is exactly what ABH did. So, there it stood, the 160 block world record in all of its glory with no possible room for improvement. I wasn't a big fan of the cheaty input. Okay, so there was one flaw with ABH's door. The input. The lever was placed in a very awkward spot, and the only way to move it was to make the door slightly larger by placing 2 pieces of redstone dust. This was kind of what the redstone community would call a little bit cringe. But just a few days later, another redstoner named Mezuma made his own 160 block 4x4 vault door, now with a non-derpy lever. And that's where development would seem to end. A few more doors that were the same size popped up across YouTube, but they weren't really notable. 1.8 came out and added slime blocks, but it still didn't get any smaller. 2014 turned to 2015, then 2016, 1.9 came out, which changed how comparators worked, which meant that having redstone blocks next to them would turn them off, meaning that basically every single 160 block 4x4 would no longer work, except, ironically enough, the oldest one from ABH. But 2016 would end with something really promising, a new redstone block. In November, Minecraft 1.11 was released, adding the Observer. This thing was massive. To this day, it is probably the single most influential block Minecraft has ever added. No joke. You could practically use whatever you wanted as an input, and it would output a 1-tick pulse. 2 properties that were very attractive to any piston door creator. And it wouldn't take long before a vault door was made using them. Just 3 days after the update came out, Spacewalker uploaded a door using observers, which used this brand new double piston extender. The hardest part of the entire door had now been reduced to 6 blocks. The barrier for entry for making the smallest 4x4 vault door possible had never been easier. Even Mumbo made his own layout size design thanks to observers. And despite redstone being easier than ever, despite adding a block that had wiped every other piston door record in history, despite more people being in the redstone community, the record never dropped. It was impossible. How could you make a smaller door than one where all the redstone fits within the piston layout itself? 3 words. Change the layout. Buffeting is a redstoner. More specifically, he creates piston doors, and he is about to share an update on one of his latest creations. Yeah, I'm almost prepared to give this door to whoever wants to try and finish it. The project he was talking about? An attempt to beat the 160 block record. He had come up with a new piston layout that would theoretically be smaller. Instead of a row of pistons controlling the bottom blocks, the entire bottom row would come out from the left wall. And for the opening, all the blocks would be pushed back into the left wall, by the right wall. If you don't understand it, don't worry. The only thing you need to know is that this layout is hard. Way harder than just powering a row of pistons. What Buffeting shared was a half-working concept that needed a lot of work. So a group of redstoners came together and did a lot of work. For about a week, from July 27th to August 2nd, Kui, Doormaker, RedsXD, and High30 tried to finish what Buffeting started. They soon realized, though, that what they were given was basically impossible to finish wiring and would require timing so precise and impractical, it wouldn't wouldn't even be worth attempting. So the first thing they did was rotate the layout to be vertical, hoping it would be easier to finish. When that didn't work, they made variations and more variations and more variations. But when things started to almost work, there would always be one thing that didn't. This, combined with other side projects that were being worked on, meant that motivation to continue was at an all-time low. So after a week of trying to break the record, they dropped the project. You guys want another ultra dank layout for this? If you have something easier, probably. The ironic thing is, what they were given, the thing that they all considered impossible to wire, was exactly what they needed. Okay, so let's go back. This is the layout that Buffeting originally posted. As mentioned earlier, the thing that makes it so hard are all the precise timings needed. But something I never mentioned is that the original group of Redstoners never tried to rewire the layout from scratch. Yeah, exactly. We didn't look into it that much, and I think we wanted to keep it relatively clean. It would take another 5 months before Kui, Doormaker, and now a new member of the project, Arway, would take a shot at the record again. After more than 9 years of ABH37 holding the seemingly unbreakable record, after an attempt with some of the smartest doormakers in Minecraft that lasted only a week before they quit, after coming back 5 months later, despite all the odds stacked against them, they made a 4x4 vault door that measured at 11 blocks long, 7 blocks high, and 2 blocks wide, with a total volume of 154 blocks. After 9 years, the record was broken by just 6 blocks.